Welcome to class tonight. I do hope that you all are doing well and you're having a great night. Today we're going to be working on a skill that when applied correctly will help you a great deal when multiplying. In fact, I will actually be teaching you a shortcut in your multiplication skills. This is important because you're going to be dealing with a lot of big numbers here very shortly in math class. And so with a lot of big numbers comes it can be difficult. But, as you can see, lesson 2.9 using the distributive property, when we use this property correctly, multiplication becomes extremely easy. Let's go ahead and get started by opening your books to page 105, please. Page 105. Now, on page 105, you might see, and you might actually be scared right now, because you see some very scary looking words. And the nice thing is that those scary looking words really are actually quite easy. So the first word you see, it says the first word you're probably scared about is the word distributive. Now this actually should be familiar because I remember teaching this. I've taught this for many years now. I know they go over it in 3rd grade, so this should not be a new term to you. You should have heard this before, but the word is distributive. Now we're going to be learning and actually applying the distributive property. Now, the distributive property, I'm going to pull this up here. The distributive property simply tells us that we can add or multiply in any order. Now, I have a problem on the board here. Now, I'm going to write something up first because I want to show you this. Okay, so I'm going to write this. 3 times 12. Now, 3 times 12, you may not have that stuck in your brain. That may not be very easy for you to do. But we can solve 3 times 12 by doing this. How do we think of 12 as 7 plus 5? Remember, 12 equals 7 plus 5. So what I just did is I separated 12 into 7 and 5. Now, ladies and gentlemen, not to scare you, it doesn't only work with 7 and 5, it works with any number. I could have put, and we're going to do it a little bit later, I could have put 3 times 10 plus 2. That one works. I could have put 3 times 9 plus 3. I could put anything. I decided to do this. Also, you'll see this in your book on page 107 as well, or page 105 as well. But I want to point that out, okay? So right here, we're simply think of this, 3 times 12, but let's think of 3 times 12 as 7 plus 5. Now, the distributive property tells me I can multiply in any order. I could solve this way. I could go 7 plus 5 is 12. That is going to be 36. I could do that, or, as you see on the board, I could do it this way. I could do 3 times 7, so 3 times the first number, and then 3 times the second number. Now you see what I did here? I wrote it out. So 3 times 7 plus 3 times 5. Now I can solve like this, or I can solve right here. So this right here is going to be 3 times 7 is going to be 21. 3 times 5 is going to be 15. 21 plus 15 is 36. So you see here, the distributive property simply tells me I can add or multiply in any order. Now, this changes the way you think about multiplication a little bit. Normally we think of it just one number times another number. But we've just learned, and the distributive property encourages us to think about numbers, so think about 12 as something else. Think about 12 as 7 plus 5. That would work out very well. And we can solve it that way. So you multiply together and get. Now you say, Mr. Hurst, that doesn't seem like a shortcut. In fact, that seems like more work. Well, we'll get to the shortcut in just a minute, but I want to show you, specifically with this right here, I want to show you how this works. Let's do one more. Now here you see another problem. Now this one, 5 minus 3. So we think of it like this, 9 times 3. I can think of 3 in this way as well. Now I could think of 3 as 1 plus 2, or I could think of it as 5 minus 2. So you see, once again, I'm changing how we think about numbers. Instead of just 9 times 3, I'm thinking, 9 times, well, I could really do anything. I could say 6 minus 3. I could say 2 plus 1. But I'm thinking of, our focus is 3. So right here, 9 times 5 minus 2. Now, once again, the distributive property tells me I can multiply 9 times 5 and then 9 times 2. Now, normally, this is back with order of operations. With order of operations, you'd solve this first and then multiply. But we are going to use the distributive property and multiply. So 9 times 5, 9 times 2. Right here is 9 times 2. So now we're going to multiply those together. So 9 times 5 is going to be 45. 9 times 2 is going to be 18. 45 minus 18 is going to be 27. So once again, we've used the distributive property to multiply two numbers together. Now, I can hear you all say, right about now, Mr. Hurst, this is ridiculous. Who cares about this ridiculous formula and means why would I care about moving two numbers around? Why would that be helpful? Well, now we're going to get into the specific shortcuts and why this is a big deal. Now, quickly, do 4 times 29 in your head. Nope, didn't get it? Most people don't. Here is a very easy way to think about it, though. Instead of thinking 4 times 29, how about we break it apart a little bit and make it easier? So how about instead of saying 4 times 29, how about we say 4 times 20 plus 9? Now, hopefully some bells and some whistles are going off inside your brain going, oh, well that makes it a little easier. Now I can do 4 times 20 and then 4 times 9, so it's going to look like this. Right here, so it's going to look like that. So now 4 times 20, oh, that's easy, that's 80. 4 times 9, once again, easy, 36. 80 plus 36, 80 plus 36 is 116. Now, I'm actually going to pause. We're going to get rid of this real quick. Okay, I'm just going to move that off the side on purpose. Because I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to paste it over here. Maybe. There we go. Because I'm going to think of 4 times 29 in a different way. So here I thought about it, 20 plus 9. That's kind of easy. How about we think about it like this? 4 times 29 is the exact same thing as, ooh, Mr. just pulled a fast one on you. So instead of saying, right here, 20 plus 9, now I'm going to say 30 minus 1. That would work as well, because 30 minus 1 is the exact same thing as 29. So let's solve it like this. So 4 times 30 minus sign, 4 times 1. Let's see, 4 times 30, well that's easy, that's 120, minus 4. 120 minus 4 is, oh look at that, I got the exact same answer, doing it a different way. So now you see why this is so incredibly helpful. We may get to this one, we'll not worry about that one at all, okay? Alright, so that, I've just said, we've done the exact same problem in 2 different ways. Let's do a couple more. Alright, 5 times 68. Now remember, we can think of it in 2 different ways. We can think of it as 60 plus 8, or we can think of it as 70 minus 2. 70 minus 2 is actually going to be a little easier because there's smaller numbers, right? See, because 5 times 60 plus 8, those are kind of big numbers. So instead of that, why don't we write 5 times 70 minus 2. Those are small numbers, okay? Well, smaller numbers. Alright, so 5 times 70 minus 5 times 2. So right here, 5 times 70, well, 5 times 7 is 35. Add a 0. 350 minus 5 times 2, oh, that's 10. That's easy. And there I have the answer, 340. So you see how I went from a very complex problem to something I can kind of almost do in my head. Let's do one more And you say, Mr. that doesn't look too hard, but let's use the distributive property to make it even easier. So instead of thinking of 2 and 9/10, let's think of it like this. 3 times 2 plus 9/10. Okay? Let's think of it like that. So now I'm going to do 3 times 2 plus 3 times, oh, that's unfortunate. 3 times 2 minus, or plus 3 times 9/10. So 3 times 2 is 6 plus 9/10. So we'll see. 3 times 9 is going to be 27. Add 1 decimal place, it's going to be 2 and 7/10. 6 plus 2 and 7/10, it's easy. 8 and 7/10. So I went from a very complex problem, and normally I need to write all that out, to very simply 3 times 2, 3 times 9/10, bam, 8 and 7/10. Our final step. I know your favorite. I know you're looking forward to this all class period. I know. Word problems. Word problem is, we're going to use the distributive property once again to figure out this word problem. So it says, a summer job as an assistant camp counselor pays $6.50 an hour. What is the salary for working 8 hours? So whenever we're working with salary, it's always going to be multiplied. So we read, we understand, I'm going to multiply this and this. That's my plan. Now let's solve. So 8 times $6.50. Now I could do this the long way, get all the zeros out and everything like that, or I could use the distributive property and think of $6.50 as times 6 plus 5/10. I can think of it like that as well. 6 plus 5/10, or we could also say 50/100. Really doesn't matter which one you put, it's the exact same thing. So 8 times 6 plus 8 times 50/100. 8 times 6 is 48, plus 8 times 5 is going to be, we'll scroll it down, 8 times 5 is going to be 40, but add a 0 in, so it's 4.00 technically. And we add those together, and it's going to be $52. So you see how I went from a very complex, that right there, that's a little scary. I used the distributive property, and bam, easy, easy money. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the lesson. The key for tonight is to remember that distributive property tells me I can add or multiply in any order. It doesn't matter. I can take apart a number and multiply those together. It doesn't matter. I'm going to get the exact same answer. That's why the distributive property is so helpful. If you do have any questions, obviously please email me or bring it into class. Your homework for tonight is going to be page 107, 2 through 12 even. Once again, page 107, 2 through 12 even. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you all tomorrow.